Hello everyone, this is a review for the December the 11th, 2009. We're just looking at animation tonight. And the first shot I'm going to be looking at is shot 0420, which is the devil deciding scene. Then we're going to have a look at 460, which is Death's fake love scene. And then we're going to look at three different peep shots, so we can get an overview of what we're looking for to achieve on those. Okay, so first to this scene. Basically, this is coming along really nicely now. There is quite a lot of. You already got my notes earlier today, so you kind of know the general gist of what I wanted to achieve, but I'll just go over them again quickly. Why do I put on another face? So one of my notes was about this hip that wasn't moving at all. It just kind of looks a little bit like it's completely anchored here, and it would look great if it could kind of roll. So the first one that I'm looking at is when he leans back like that, so in that pose there, it would be nice to see his lower hips roll over, which means he might actually move from his center being here to being there perhaps, and it would roll over a little bit. Now that's going to affect obviously his tail, and you'll have to look at how that's going to work out. Another element, obviously you already know you're going to be putting a bit more work into the face, so I won't look at that too much. Put on another face. One of the things that I wanted to clarify about was about the eyes. I've actually got mine here, so I can bring it up and show you what I'm talking about. Let's try and bring it down here. Here you go. I hope you can see this. Basically, this is kind of his middle position, and unfortunately with this character I don't think he looks very good with his eyes in the middle position. He actually looks better by default with his eyes wide open like that, or closed down for something specific. I mean, I think by default he should have his eyes wide open like that, and he's a little bit of a it just makes him a little bit more appealing, and it creates a nicer shape, nice rounded shape on him. I mean, even putting the cursor to the left or the right creates a nicer shape. Hang on, let me push that down a bit. So even that or that, those both look like nice shapes, and that for very specific things obviously. But this one in the middle on its own, it has a sort of I don't know if I'm the only one, but it just, to me, doesn't look very appealing. It's kind of got this diamond shape that doesn't look very nice on him. It looks a little bit wrong, and so I wouldn't hold that shape. I would always just go through that shape to the shape that you're trying to achieve. So hold this shape by default more often than you hold that shape, if you can. That was my main note on that one. Other than that, you're already doing a pretty good job of it, and I guess we'll move you on to dealing with some of the dynamic tail stuff. Well, it's not dynamic. I mean, what you've done with hand animating the tail is fine. We'll just add some sort of deformation to it so that the flame looks like it's actually a living flame, and then I'll be implementing the hair solution that Ishkander did on the up here for that to work for you dynamically as well, so you shouldn't have to animate that by hand. Otherwise, really good, coming along, and I'll look forward to seeing the next version. So over to this scene. This one's coming along really nicely as well. Let's go from the beginning. Basically, the overall blocking is kind of working now. One thing I wanted to do was this basic pose here. I know theoretically, I'm just guessing here, but you've probably pointed the target directly at the devil's chair over here so that she's correctly looking at him, but we're just completely losing her eyes here. You need to just pull it around so that maybe her eye is there instead of there. I mean, it's just a tiny amount. It could be, I'm guessing we're talking about 20 or 30 degrees around, and it does mean that she might not necessarily be looking 100% at devil in the scene, but we as an audience will believe that she's looking at the devil better because we've got a better eye line. I mean, I'll see if I can reproduce it. So what we're talking about. So I don't know whether you can see this or not, but no, actually there's no way for me to tell. I can't tell because I can't see myself, unfortunately, to show you. But basically, we just want to turn that eye around just a little bit. Then let's see what else we got. The face animation is fairly plain at the moment. I'm kind of assuming you haven't put a lot of work into it yet. Everything's symmetrical. So for example, her brows are coming up completely at the same time here. So you might want to lead with this brow, for example, open that up on one side and let the other one come down so that you lead into that, and then let them settle together. Another issue I spotted here was that, let's go through this, her eye has completely disappeared here. I guess it's just you're blocking the eye positions and you haven't in-betweened it. That's probably all that is. That's all kind of working. I'll let you carry on with that because obviously there's a bunch of obvious things to do in there, and that's coming along nicely, I think. Did you spot as well this? I'm just assuming that's the back of the hood coming through. You might want to just take a look at that and let me know if there's anything you can do about that. If not, I guess I'm going to have to look into it and see if it's part of, something we can fix in the rig. We're working on some jiggle for her dress, so that might actually improve some of what's going on down here as well, but that's later to come. Otherwise, this shot's coming along nicely. Let's just make sure. Where is she looking at this point? Is she looking here? Because if she is, then I would imagine that's got to come round more to there. It doesn't quite look like she's looking at the peep. I just want to know what your thoughts are on that one and where it is you're intending her to look. Because my first thoughts is that here she's looking at the devil, here she's looking thoughtfully down at the peep in the foreground here, and then here here she's looking at Cupid. And arguably, I would say Cupid's lower down as well here. In fact, yeah, I would say her eyeline would need to be a little bit lower. She could still keep her head up because I kind of like the idea that she's looking down at him. But the other thing is that don't forget the scene is called Fake Love, and the reason it's called Fake Love is that the most important and key aspect you want to get across at the end of this scene is a sort of fake smile. So she's actually doing this. She's looking across and she's doing a fake smile to Cupid. So that's something that we want to be achieving in the face here. It might mean just reworking that facial pose a little bit more. Otherwise, that's all coming along very nicely. I would have done